Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spirit Chat with my colleague Mari, the medium Mari, and myself, Winter Brook. And we are having a lovely guest today from the UK. But before we introduce our guest, I just want Mari to introduce herself for those of you that are new, and also to give people another minute or two to either turn on the stream or join us in the Zoom room. So, Mari, would you say hi to everyone and let them know a little bit about you?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Spirit Chat. This is Medium Mari, also Mari Cartagenova, but that's kind of a mouthful. So, Medium Mari is good. I am happy to be on the show, working with Winter again, and our amazing guest, Gary Mannion, who you will hear a little bit about. I am also a psychic medium and animal communicator. I also help to find lost pets with the help of spirit. So I love working with people and pets and grateful to be doing this work. And I know Winter always tells me I should toot my own horn a little, so I will do it a little bit. Last year, I was honored to win the Ohm Times Award for Best Animal Communicator, and this year I just won the Best American Psychics 2024 Psychic of the Year. So thank you very much, everybody, and grateful to have those honors and just honestly grateful to be able to work with Spirit and connect with all of you. So it's going to be an awesome show, and stay tuned to hear all about physical mediumship with Gary. So thank you, Winter.
You're quite welcome, sweetheart. And for those of you unfamiliar with me, I am also a psychic medium who does animal communication. My apologies. We're not having the best weather on Long Island, New York today. But in addition to that, I have a love for trance and physical mediumship. And in the pursuit to learn more about physical mediumship, I've been sitting for about 8 years now in my own circle, Shambhala Circle. I was advised to find a mentor who is quite well versed in the field, and that's how I met Gary. He came highly recommended. And our guest today, Gary Mannion, is a world renowned physical medium. Now, most of you probably don't know what physical mediums are if you're from Long Island, even if you practice mediumship. um, it's a very Gary, I'm going to hand it over to you.
That's good. Hi, I'm Gary. So I've been working as a physical medium now for, I think, the last 12 years or so. Prior to that, I've been working as a psychic surgeon for 18 years now. And I've been working on platform as a medium for 23 years. Jeez, I'm getting old. So physical mediumship, for those who aren't used to it or aware of it, whereas mental mediumship is where a medium will work with the energy, interpret what they're getting. With physical mediumship, we still use a medium, but spirit direct the energy how they want to. So rather than say a mental medium going to abduct your mother here, with physical mediumship in the right conditions, your mother could materialize in some way and communicate with you herself.
That's amazing, Gary. I mean, I know, Winter, I don't know if you're recovering from your cough. There's always something going around, right?
You
I would
know,
love to.
the fog just rolled
Yeah.
in. I can't even see the people across the street right now. I think that's what's
Wow.
affecting me.
Wow.
Oh, my apologies, everyone. But
That's okay. I was just curious if Gary, you could give us a little bit. How did you get started in this? Obviously, you've been doing it for a very long time, and you look amazing. You look like a baby. So how did
Yeah.
you get started in this work?
So for me, back when I was 13, my dad used to go to the local spiritualist church. I got to go along one night, saw the medium tune in, heard a voice in my head going, "You can doing that." So being 13, hearing a voice in my head, I gave it a go. And that started me off with kind of the psychic mediumship path. My church were very supportive, so they put me on a platform from the age of 13.
Wow.
When I was 18, I was in Manchester, in the UK, doing some psychic development with a group. Ended up doing some spiritual healing with them and started seeing hands get into people's bodies. And that kind of kick-started me with the psychic surgery. I was then scientifically researched with that for 5.5 years. And we had a 90% success rate under scientific testing.
Mm.
And I was really good friends with another physical medium in the UK who kept telling me to sit for physical. And I just kept putting it off and putting it off. And then he did a workshop in my house one day. So the room was already blacked out. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a sit. And we had a phenomenal first time. And that's kind of really how I fell into it, really. It's nothing I ever went looking for or thought that I'd ever do. It's something that definitely kind of found me. And touch wood,
Awesome.
12 years.
That's amazing that they, I know in England, they're a little bit more strict than we are in America with spiritualist churches. And that's amazing that they let you get on the platform at 13. Because I've heard
Yes.
that a lot of times they make you sit in circle for a good 6 or 7 years before they'll let you get on the platform. And I did it the exact opposite. I used to run services and I just threw my students up there and just,
Mhm.
I mean, they had to, consent. And I threw my daughter up there too. She didn't have to consent. I just put her up there. She was about 13. So that's amazing that they did that.
Yeah,
Uh,
so my church was very supportive. And the head healer of my church, she said to me, "You're going to be a healer, not a medium." And I had no interest in healing, but she got special
Mm.
permission for this and you, so I was actually allowed to do healing before the age of 18. And yeah, it kind of really saved me, really. Even though I used to love mediumship, my love now is with the healing and now with physical as well, to see the results.
well, and I just want to comment, Mari, because I've had firsthand healing from Gary. Um, my liver enzymes elevated because of medication that the doctors had to put me on for my Crohn's. And it kept going up and up. And then when I started working with Gary, all of a sudden it leveled. I mean, I've been on the medicine for a year and they couldn't figure out what it was. And then it kind of plateaued. And then I saw Gary again. He came to New York. We exchanged healings. And all of a sudden, 6, 7 weeks later, I go for another infusion. My liver enzymes are coming down even further and no diet changes, nothing. They can't explain it, but whenever he works on me, my enzyme, even though I'm still on the medication that caused it.
Mm.
So I've had firsthand experience, positive experience from Gary's healing abilities. And then secondly, which we are going to have Gary back to Long Island. I think we're looking at November now, though. When we were in Lilydale last year, we were working in a symposium. Gary did a demonstration of healing where he went into an altered state and it was in the light. It wasn't like a dark seance room. And he did about 5 or 6 healings during the demonstration, and it was amazing. There was this one woman who was a professional violinist, used to play at the Kennedy Center, and her shoulder froze up, so she couldn't play the violin. She took the summer off, and Gary called her up while he was in trance, and he's talking to everybody in trance. And when he worked on her, her arm raised above her head by the time he was done in like 10 minutes. The next day, the woman came into my class and I talked to her about it. And she was very level headed. And she explained that she hadn't been able to move her arm for a good 6, 7 months. So I was just kind of blown away. I wish she had followed up with me because she was in the process of moving and then was going to teach. Like in October, she was starting. And I want to know, I'm curious if the shoulder remained loose or if her playing the violin triggered another one. But in that moment, she hadn't been able to lift her arm for like 6 months, she told me. And then Gary did the work that during that dem and she was able to move it around. She moved it around in class with me the next day. It was just fabulous. So what are
That's
some of the
amazing.
other, yeah, it's just crazy. Gary, what are some of the other, like, I know not every experience has a positive outcome.
Sure. Yeah, not everyone gets the results they're looking for. Also, not everyone follows the aftercare advice. Some people use healing like religion in that they want you to fix their liver so they can go out drinking, or fix their lungs
Mm,
so they can smoke a pack of cigarettes.
wow.
Uh, Probably the most interesting for me would be the ones we use for the research. So cases that medically shouldn't have got better. So, we've got x-rays of somebody who's got a worn out back that's completely destroyed. We have x-rays before and after. All they've had treatment-wise is psychic surgery, and there's no longer issues with the back. Um, or we've got one case of a guy who he had a vessel in his eye burst, and so instant
Mm,
blindness, and he'd been blind for 3 years. Um, and they've told him the nerve doesn't regrow. He's not going to get his vision back. He's got to learn to live with it. So he had a treatment, and 3 hours later, he found he could see in the eye that was blind. And as far as I know, he can still see in that eye. Another amazing case, we had a lady who had a condition called BPPV, which is basically where the crystals in your ears get dislodged. So she had 20 years of constant vertigo.
Oh,
So
mm,
every moment of the day, she would have vertigo. She tried everything that she
wow.
could, nothing helped it. Um, Straight after the treatment, she was better, and she's never had it since. But from a research point of view, anything that shouldn't respond medically, or animals are always good because animals aren't supposed to respond to placebo. So if they get results, that's quite good. Or young kids as well aren't supposed to respond to placebo.
wow.
Ab- yeah, absolutely. I mean, that sounds amazing. I was curious, just for our listeners, anybody watching. I'm assuming you do long distance healing, and how would that work? Like, if someone from the States wants a healing, but they're not anywhere near you, how would you go about that?
So yeah, we do a lot of absent work. So what would happen is we would set up a time and a date. I would have a little chat with you first about what is it you're aware of, what are you hoping for us to work on and focus on. I would then go and do the treatment. Once I'd done the treatment, I would write up everything that we worked on that we picked up, and I would send that across to you to have a read and digest. And then if you had any questions from that, you'd get in touch and we'd go through it. But yeah, I do a lot of my work is done absently nowadays with people all over.
Okay, so it's not like, would you need to be on the Zoom at the same time,
Uh,
or
so
there's
just
not?
For the initial chat, yeah, we normally will do it over Zoom or Facebook Messenger. And
Uh-huh.
then I'll just normally go and do the treatment. I normally ask them if they're able to just go and lie down for a little
Okay.
while. Not necessary, but some people do get a benefit from relaxing at the time.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so if anybody's looking for that and they're looking for healing and there's always lots of things going on with everybody. The long distance healing with Gary, scientifically proven, amazing results. I would definitely recommend checking them out. I might be checking you, giving you a call because
Absolutely.
that sounds amazing to me. So, bravo.
Thank you very much. And you'll get to see it firsthand at the conference. I'll be doing a demonstration there on it.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that. But do Winter or Gary, you want to talk about the conference? Because I think you know a little bit more about it than I do.
Sure. So in April, literally just under a month ago now, in Albany, New York, we have a 5-day international physical mediumship conference. So we have four physical mediums, me covering the kind of English physical mediumship. We have Kai Muga, who's covering German physical mediumship. We have Vinny Na, who is covering Native American physical mediumship. And then we have Bill Bolt, who's covering American physical mediumship. So in the conference, you'll get to sit in a seance with each of the four of us. We've also got about 10 other presenters that will be teaching, demonstrating throughout those 5 days. So it's a full 5 days. Winter is one of those presenters.
Including me. I'm a tutor.
So it's going to be a full on 5 days. There's still a couple of spaces. We can get a couple more in if people want. It's 900 for the 5 days, and that includes everything. All the workshops, the seances are all included in that price. And considering for those seances on their own, you could be looking at about $190 to go see that same medium elsewhere. Plus your travel and everything, you can get all that included for the $900.
Gary, how there's what, three classes, a demonstration, and a séance in each of the 4 days, and then about seven things going on the first day, right?
Yeah, so the first day starts in the afternoon. So that runs from 1 o'clock through till late. So every night, even after all the events, which go on to about 9:30, is when the demonstrations finish. We then have nights of music and Part of the conference as well, we've got 5 different groups, so everyone will get to do everything, but we've designed it so that you won't be stuck with the same group the whole 5 days. It's an opportunity for you to go and mix and network with other people who have an interest in physical mediumship, so that you can build friendships within the physical mediumship movement. You can form groups of people who can sit with you over a distance or may have similar interests to you. So it's all designed about not just experiencing, not just learning, but actual networking. So every evening we have a kind of a themed evening for the evening. So even after the events, it goes on till late. And you can do as much as you want if it's a full schedule. So if you think I've got a bit too much, I want to sit out on this one, that's completely fine. It's completely optional.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing event,
Hmm.
not only for the subject material, which you don't really get too much of. And honestly, there's only a handful of people working publicly with physical mediumship in the world.
Yes.
So when I started my journey, I got involved with the spiritualist churches here on Long Island, and I used to go to a weekly development circle, and we were getting some of the old time spiritualists showing up that were engaged in physical mediumship, and that's where I learned my love for it. And I did the Morris Pratt class, which many of the spiritualists in the US would be familiar with. That's the educational arm of the NSAC. And they devote several chapters to physical mediumship. Other metaphysical practitioners in the US who are not spiritualists, that's the greatest majority. They're not familiar really with what is physical mediumship. They don't know what materialization is. They don't know table tipping because it wasn't as part of their studies, so to speak. So to find a conference that's just devoted to physical mediumship is amazing. And everybody, this is the new pup. She was just wanting to come in and say hello. 11 weeks.
Adorable.
Thank you. Let's see, she'll go right to Coda now. So, speaking of what is physical mediumship, I want to show you guys one of the areas that Gary started developing after you visited upstate New York, right?
Mhm.
Was a form of physical mediumship called precipitated art, spirit precipitated art. And basically, when you have a physical medium, spirit can use the energy of the group and the medium.
Oh my goodness.
All right, guys, that was the cat teaching the puppy a new lesson. They can use the energy and take a blank canvas or a piece of paper and create a portrait. One of the first ones Gary did was my dad. And at the time this was being created, we were sitting in the dark, so we didn't know. Gary was bringing through my father in trance with extremely detailed information that no one would have known. I had to actually check a couple pieces because I forgot, even though it was my own dad, right down to what he had on his tombstone and the names of his children from his first marriage, which you really can't find that. So then the following year, it was my birthday, and I went to a seance with Gary up at Lilydale at Neil Rezpowski, who's also going to be a tutor.
Mhm.
And they asked me what I wanted. They were going around the room asking people what kind of phenomena were they hoping for at the seance, because different phenomena happen. Sometimes you get a blank seance. So when they got to me, I just said, all I want is for Mrs. Oh God, she's gonna crown me. Who's your evidential
Fine.
Mrs. Barnaby to work with me to help me improve my evidential mediumship. So they said, no, we have something else in store for you. I said, okay, I'm grateful. Seance happens at the end of the seance or in the middle, they put the light on, and they had used markers. Now, this was a blank piece of paper, guys. Gary was locked in the cabinet with his hands tied to the chair. And this just appeared, and you can see the face. And it is an ET. And now here's the funny part. So everybody's like, oh, an ET. How are you going to prove that, right? Everybody's thinking evidentially. Well, one of my circle members would happen to be at the seance who sees me transfigure. And I always transfigure this guy, apparently. I don't know. I don't recognize because I'm sitting in the cabinet for my own circle.
Mhm.
Then I bring it home for the rest of the circle members, and they all recognized the CT that Gary's team in spirit had materialized. So nobody was touching the markers, it just happened.
Wow.
It's amazing. Um,
So is the piece of paper like flat, Winter, or where's the paper? And I'm just curious how it works in relation to the medium in the cabinet.
Yeah, the paper was on the floor about 3 feet away from the medium and probably about
Really?
8 inches. Yeah, and he was
Wow.
what do you call it, zip
Oh,
tie?
So the papers are always provided by the host as well. Some places will provide the markers in the box as well. At Neil's, it was all provided because I'm terrible at traveling with stuff. um, and all the papers are checked prior to the seance, so everyone knows that everything is blank before it's all started. And I mean, those images are produced in seconds.
Yeah, with the
Wow.
lights off, so we didn't even see it until they said, okay, you may, turn on your light lowly. Um, and then when we did, we noticed there was something drawn. But the thing is, both of these portraits continue to define and materialize over the next 24 hours. So I
Mm.
was able to take them with me. They were meant for me, but I had to put them in my folder so that the light wouldn't hit them as they continued to get definition.
Yeah.
The
So
one with
normally what happens over 24 hours, more will appear on the image, names will appear. I remember Karen when she sat, her mum came through and she'd commented afterwards that, oh, my mum's not wearing her glasses. Within 24 hours, the picture has the glasses on it.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow.
Karen is going
That's
to be another
awesome.
tutor at the
Karen is another
conference.
tutor, yeah, from
Um,
Australia.
yeah, you've got about 10 of us, right?
Hmm.
Got Shannon Taggart, who wrote the book with all the beautiful pictures from the seance rooms around the world called Seance. And
Kevin
Kevin
Lee.
from down Florida. He's a great speaker and he's very well versed in precipitated art, like you're
Mhm.
doing. Inga Croson, Karen
Inga
Richards
Crossing,
from
Australia.
Australia.
Richard. Elaine Damascus.
Elaine, right? She has a school for mediumship in Albany, in that area.
Yes, it's more Schenectady way, I think. Don't quote me.
Schenectady. Yeah, that's very close. She's
Okay.
lovely. I met her. A very, very articulate woman, knowledgeable. So it's just going to be fantastic. And I see Pat joined us on the Zoom room. Pat is going to drive up with me. So she's attending the conference as well. Gary, I think it's really important if we explain to the people watching, because again, most people don't understand what physical mediumship is.
Mhm.
If you could maybe talk about and explain like direct voice versus independent direct voice.
Sure. So in a physical seance, you can get all different types of phenomena, and different physical mediums kind of specialize in different areas. So in my teams, they try to work a lot with loved ones, and phenomena related to that or healing. So different types of phenomena that you can often get would be direct voice. So this is where spirit will build their own voice box. And that can either be through the medium or it can be independent from the medium. And with that, it then gives your loved one a chance to come through and talk for themselves. So you can hear it's your loved one. It's going to sound like your loved one. It's going to know things that your loved one would know. Then you get different forms of materialization, and that can be anything from a hand materializing through to a full form. Um, Either someone in the spirit team or one of your loved ones, if the energy's right. Um, Ports are quite common as well. So that's where objects or stones are
I
given
get
to
it.
you.
Can I interrupt
Oh,
you?
sorry. Yeah.
So he just talked about materialization, which would be with ectoplasm, right?
Yep. Mhm.
And one thing that I've seen Gary's team do a lot with him is a hand will materialize and come out of the cabinet. And
Mm.
then a couple of people will go one at a time and be allowed to touch the hand. And they've all reported feeling as if the hand was their loved one.
Mhm.
One person would report it felt very large to them, one felt it was very small. Um, and one night when you were in Northport at my office, your team said they were going to try to bring as many through as possible. Usually you do like three and that's it. And then it's just, you let every single person in the seance room have a turn to come up. Well, you didn't. You were in no land, la la land. And my daughter went up, my 21-year-old, my youngest, she was attending and she felt the hand. And I didn't, I expected it to be my parents, right? It was the deceased son of a dear friend of mine who couldn't come because she was 92 and she goes to bed too early. And it also materialized a quartz stone. And my daughter didn't know, except that the man that came through, she got the impression from touching, she was supposed to give that to Aunt Helen. And the next day, so here's the evidential, she gives it to Helen. We had no idea. Helen turns around and says, "Oh my God, that's Mark," which my daughter knew. And when Mark was alive, he used to play with a little boy, the great grandson of her best friend. And they used to go look for little whittle rocks, only the whittle ones and the quartz ones. And he'd be out there in the yard with little Bobby, and that they would collect rocks together that had quartz and they had to be ittle. So that was so evidential to Helen. I mean, she couldn't have made it, she wouldn't have made it through the seance because she was 92 and all that. But you just definitely gave her an up. And then she ended up passing like a couple months later. So I was very grateful for that. We had no idea. I just assumed my parents would come through for my daughter. But that's the kind of evidential. Not only did my daughter feel it was Mark, but and that's what the attendees were reporting back to me. My ex-boyfriend was like, it just felt like a large hand. And the next woman who went after him said, no, it was a very small hand.
Mm.
So it was cool. So I'm sorry. So you were
No, that's
starting
fine.
to talk about apports, but I
Uh,
just wanted
yeah.
to interject.
So you get apports, which normally apports will normally be given to you for a reason. So this is a gift from so and so. This is for your healing. This is for your development circle. Because there's so many different types of phenomena. So the precipitations, knocks, bangs, light phenomena. So many different types of phenomena you can get. And every physical medium has their own way of working and different phenomena that their team specialize in.
And is there a particular thing that you specialize in, Gary? I know that you do the healing and everything, but are there certain things like that usually happen at your seance, or is it like different every time, or how does that work?
Um, I would like to think my seances are different every time. Um, but I think my team predominantly work on healing and materialization seems to be their big thing at the moment that they've been working on the last year or two, or different forms of materialization, which would then allow loved ones to come through.
Wow, I can't wait to go. It sounds amazing. And I know probably a lot of the terminology and things like that are not that familiar to some of our audience or just some people in general, because this is sort of like, it almost feels like this is the part of mediumship that's kind of still in the closet a little bit because, maybe people
Amazing,
think
and
it's
yet
weird.
the whole spiritualist movement is based on physical mediumship, which a lot of people don't seem to realize that it actually all started with seances. And then moved into mental mediumship. But physical mediumship has been around in every culture, going back thousands and thousands of years in one form or another.
Yeah, the birth of modern spiritualism is credited to the interaction that two young Fox sisters had with a spirit named Charles Rosna.
In
And
Heidelberg, New
when,
York.
right, 18, I went to school. I'm a spiritualist minister. And what happened is it became very popular. And let's face it, guys, in 1850, 1860, there was no cell phones, television, or anything else like that. So families would gather around the dining room table on a Friday or Saturday evening. And this is how the red light became so associated with physical seance rooms, because the heat was the fireplace, and they would sit to
Mm.
see if they could communicate with their dead loved ones. And as the fire, you know, went out, you would just get the red ambers, which would give a red glow to the room. Now, that's important because when we talk about materialization, the arm forming, you can't do that in regular white light. It, 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 well, some mediums are starting to, and I know Gary's
Mhm.
starting to under strict um, compliance with your guides. But for the most part, if you're in having a seance and the ectoplasm is forming, if somebody were to throw a light on, it would cause the ectoplasm to snap back into the physical medium's body, causing first, second, third degree burns, possibly contributing to death, which was the case with the Scottish medium Helen Duncan.
Mhm.
So, and I think this happened to Scott Milligan, his trans person that she's a very well-known medium. I don't know, it was an oops, she put the light on, and then he showed pictures of second degree burns. He's a
Mhm.
current medium in the UK that does works with ectoplasm. So the thing is, you have to be respectful of the rules when it comes to physical mediumship. There's a little bit more danger involved. No, but if you play by the rules, you're fine. Um, so it was usually associated with red light because in the beginning, that's why I started to glow out. That's what the fireplace would glow down to. And in Northport, we had I found out after I got involved with spiritualism, we had a very active spirituals community back in the 1850s, 60s, and 70s. Um, and I was invited by the now owner of the former home of the leader of the spiritualist movement in Northport to go through the house this month. I can't
Mm.
wait. And then go back with my circle and have a seance in their house, Jesse Jarvis. So looking forward to that. But Gary will tell you, I've seen amazing stuff. Gary does it in the dark, and then but factors allowing, his team has allowed the lights to be put on so we can actually see. And he's worked with a white light now,
Mhm.
blue, red. Did you use green?
No, don't like green.
No, like Gordon Garfield,
Does all
Gar,
agree. Yeah.
yeah, he nice man in the UK. He does transfiguration like I do, and he uses green. I don't like green. I'm using blue now because you told me to use blue. Because Tony Stockwell told me to use blue too. So we're trying blue now. I like red because I'm a traditionalist. I think of the old family sitting around the dining room table. So, but so there's also the spirit portraiture, which is nice. The ectoplasmic materialization, the apports. What are we missing? Direct voice versus independent.
God, there's hundreds of phenomena that you can
Yeah.
experience.
Like
Um,
the trumpet flying around the room. I've heard
All
about
right, room,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah, trying to find in the room or luminous objects, either levitated, moved around the room, or seen materializations within the luminous light. That's quite a common one. Touches, breezes, knocks.
yeah, when your spirits touch, it's a very firm touch. When my spirits touch, it's very light.
The gentle.
Temperature drops. We have to sit with, well, I don't, but my group has to sit with blankets on now. And breezes. Knocks, that's the original. That's what instigated the conversations between the children, the Fox sisters, and the spirit, now known as Charles Rassner. They started communicating with knocks, one knock for A, two knocks for B. Same thing with the table tipping. We've had some levitation. Oh, talk about the levitation that occurred in, I wasn't at the seance, but you were with Mary, who is a former Rotarian president, um, and very trustworthy lady. So she was there hosting you. And what happened with, I saw the table at a different seance, but
Oh, that sounds okay. Yes. So in the room they use, which is the old an old mansion, so it's a nice huge space. There is a big solid table that's normally in the corner, and it would easily take 4 or 5 of us to move it. So during the seance, that table was lifted in the air over the sitters because they sit in a circle and placed in the middle of the room without anyone knowing it happened or hearing anything. And this is a table that would normally take at least 4 or 5 people to move it. And it wouldn't be quiet because
Wow.
it's an old table. It's a big, heavy old table.
yeah, so I wasn't there, but I've seen that table. I've been in that room. And I just, certainly trust Mary's relay of what happened. That's amazing. You dragged my daughter and one of my sitters. Well, not you, but your team. So
Yeah,
they
it's not
were
uncommon
physically
for
moved in their chairs
people to move
across
in
the
their
room.
chairs or tipped or levitated. That's quite a common one.
Yep.
I
And
can't
when I
wait.
yeah, when I was there with I brought my circle up to see you at another time, and their three-person couch was levitated with the people sitting on it.
Oh.
So but yeah, the I don't know if we've seen the levitating balls. You left your balls in Northport, by the way.
Ah, the my balls get around.
No comment.
Well, yeah, he's relaxed about it. I said that to a physical medium once. I was like, I can't get my trumpet up. I need help. And he was so offended. I really just set the bad tone for our relationship. And I was just like, I was just
Yeah, I'm
teasing.
really bad. I bring stuff and then I leave it places, and I'm just used to people
Well,
having
we're
it.
using it. We're trying to get them to move. So no worries. They're being put to good use. That's the other thing. Gary's a really kind person. All my animals adore him. And he even got along with the doctor. We went out for dinner and the two of them because you were doing your ambulance course or something. And the two of you, my daughter was doing emergency department. So that's nice too, because I've met a few mediums that I'd rather not have dinner with.
Yeah. Well, everybody's a person, right? Just because you're connected to the spiritual world, there's some people you'd like to hang out with and some people you wouldn't. So, but all this talk about all the amazing things that happen at the seance and all the work you're doing, Gary, just sounds amazing. And if anybody that's watching is interested in signing up for this week-long physical mediumship seminar, how would they get a hold of you? How would they sign up for this? Or maybe Winter, you can put it in the chat if you know
Yeah,
the
IP
information.
IPMC.store.
That's a good idea, Mari.
Yeah, because I think someone might be watching and saying, "Oh, that sounds really cool. How do I sign up?" But I signed up, but I don't remember. So maybe put it in the chat, and that way,
Yeah.
if people are interested, if there's a couple spots left, and how many people are there? Is it going to be like 100 people? It's a pretty good sized seminar.
Yeah, it'll be up to 100 people, but in groups of 20. So you're not going to be in a room with 100 people for every workshop.
Sure, sure. But it's just so people understand this is kind of a big deal that all these, physical mediums from all over the world are coming
Yeah,
in. And it's kind of a very rare event, like Winter was saying. Not, they
relatively
don't do a
stunning.
lot of this.
I think this is the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Gary. It's IMPC dot what?
IPMC.
IPMC, International Physical Mediumship Conference dot org.
Dot store.
That's
Dot
sure.
store. Oh, cool. Okay. So yeah, if anyone is interested at all, or someone that's interested, pass along this info so they can, get in on it. I think it's what, like 3 weeks away or so.
Yeah, literally
And
the April kicks off.
yeah, because it starts when? April 2nd?
April 3rd.
Third.
April 3rd. Okay.
And
So
here's
yeah.
something else, guys. If you come, it's in Albany. So this conference ends Sunday night, the 7th. And then Monday morning, when you leave the hotel, you can drive somewhere to catch the eclipse because
Mhm.
it's nearer the eclipse path.
Yep.
So we have a
Conference is
question.
spectacular. Even the conferences, even the Eclipse wants to come.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, okay,
Yeah,
so
there was a
I
couple things in the chat, Winter.
yes, I have a question on from Facebook. Hi, Gordon. Gordon is a medium in Canada. I know we know go back 10 years now. I'm so excited. He has started a circle a few months ago, trying to work like the skull experiment, which
Mhm.
is an energy-based physical mediumship circle. So congratulations, Gordon. Gordon, please join us. You are going to love this conference in Albany. I think you'll be right there. Now, Gabrielle, sorry, sweetheart, is asking, how do you not fall off the chair? Have you ever had a sitter in a
Hmm.
seance fall off a chair that spirit was either levitating or dragging like they did with my daughter?
No, thankfully, when spirit's in control, no. Just like tipping, I've seen tables flip around in the air and everything, and when spirit's in control, I've never seen anyone hit by the table or hurt by the table. So as long as spirit are in control, then no. Thankfully, no one's ever been dropped.
So trust spirit is the lesson there, and I certainly do. So
And I
ipmc.store for more information. And Mari, you had someone?
Yeah, well, I was just looking that Linda was talking about the healing and everything, and so I don't know if that's you could send any type of healing or maybe tune into Linda Gary. She was saying she said it sounds so cool. What Gary can do, I could use some of that. I am a mess, so I don't know if there's like able to send healing to her or sort of tune
Yeah.
into what's going on with her.
So with her energy, I pick up it's probably a lot more to do with exhaustion, physical and mental. There's a lot of inflammation going on around the liver. There's some adrenal fatigue going on there as well, and that's been going on for quite a while now, which is really affecting her nervous system. And the problem she's got as well, it's affecting different joints and different areas of the body in different days. It's partly genetic on, well, she's got a bit on both sides of the family, really. Um, and there's a little bit of chemical imbalance, so it's what we call SAD. So she's affected by light and dark as well, which throws out the hormones and chemicals. So yeah, we can definitely send some healing and see if we can help with that, if that
Absolutely.
makes
Well,
sense.
Linda's actually here. I don't know, Linda, darling. We can't really see you. You're kind of dark, but can we unmute her? I don't know if I can do that
She's got to unmute.
herself.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
mute them, but they have.
Hello?
Oh, there
Hello.
you are, Linda. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. So, what were your thoughts on what Gary's little bit of feedback he just gave you?
Yeah, I think it was spot on. I didn't know about the light and the dark stuff, but I do know that a lot of my pain and stuff is genetics, because my grandparents were cousins and got married and had kids.
Wow.
You can send some healing to help clear that through for you.
Thank you. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting with the SAD, the light deprivation piece. I mean, I'm sort of feeling that as well for you. I mean, I know, where you live, it's probably kind of gloomy and not that like where I am here, and not that
Yeah.
sunny, but sometimes, they have those lights, those special
Light
the
boxes.
light, yeah, the light boxes that, we actually got one for here because in New England it's, dreary and terrible 8 months of the year. So that also might
Right.
be something that might be helpful for you, Linda. I don't know if it's something you've looked
Okay.
into, but I was when you mentioned the SAD, I was like, I kept picking up on that as well too. I think that might help
Okay.
sort of get you over the hump right now.
Good. Good.
So check that out. Yeah.
So should we keep you on a roll, Gary? Because we have one of our faithful listeners in the Zoom room today, Terry, and she was wondering if you could pick up anything with her. And Terry, you can unmute if you want and say hi to Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Hey, how you going?
All right.
So in your case, I've got a couple of things going on here. So first, we've got like energy building around that thyroid area.
Yeah.
There seems to be some fluctuating there. Again, we got a little bit genetic there, but also you store all your emotional stuff around that neck area anyway. And that's physically coming down into the hands as well. We've got some weakness coming into the hands, and that's coming from compression in that neck area, especially on that right side there. It's not trapped, but the nerve there is getting impinged, and it's been like that for quite a while. Because of that, you've compensated. But you've got that mentality as well that when something goes wrong with you, you ignore it by keeping yourself busy. So this is a big accumulation, and that's very much the hands now. You're very, from an energetic point of view, it really is very much you're so used to giving your power away to other people to keep other people happy that
Yeah.
now we need to try and direct the energy back towards you.
Okay.
Awesome. So
That's
what is
awesome. Yeah. From what we
um
know about Teria, I think that felt pretty spot on to me as well, because I've done a number of readings for her. So that's amazing. I had a
It
quick
is.
question actually, Gary, though. So when you do the healing, do people kind of come to you for like a energy reset, kind of like you're talking about Terry and being worn down and everything? So is
Mhm.
having a reading or healing with you, can it kind of like reboot them so that they have more energy? And does that make sense?
Sometimes people will come for a general rather than necessarily a set problem. And then as well as doing the psychic surgery bit, we're trying to do the medical intuitive bit. So that's making you aware of why you have a problem, what's going on physically, ideally what's the energy or the emotion behind it, and what's the root of the problem. So that as well as treating just the symptoms, we can hopefully get rid of it once and for all.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because as you were talking, I was sort of feeling like, it's almost like coming in connection with your guides and your connection to spirit. It almost feels like as a client, you can sort of get plugged into that source, and that
Mhm.
energy would cycle through you and almost do like a physical reset for you. I'm not saying everything would be gone 100%, but just as you were talking, my feeling was like, wow, this could just really give someone like a boost of energy and sort of help clear up some of their stuff so that they can almost move to like another level of their healing.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all that people need, just a little push.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, almost like it's like a spiritual vitamin. So if you need that little boost, which I think, I'm like, wow, that sounds good. I can probably use that. I think everybody can, especially, with how things are right now. So definitely get in touch with him. And, that's amazing to sort of share that energy with others.
and Gary, on that note, I know we put in the link for the conference, but you have your own email or website.
Yes. So the quickest and easiest way to get hold of me at the moment is through Facebook. Uh,
Okay.
I did I did have a website, but I forgot to update it for a couple of
Oh,
years.
okay. Okay. So, because Facebook Messenger, so it's Gary Mannion on Facebook.
Yeah.
And just
Well,
give the messenger another day or two to sort itself out. Um,
yes, it seems to be working now. So I'm just playing the catch up from the couple of hours it was down.
oh,
Right,
oh,
right.
there we go. So, email is Gary Mannion. It's in the chat at 123mail.org.
Mhm.
And I'd like to jump in again to recommend Gary as a tutor if you want to do any private mentoringship. I am mentoring with Gary for the physical mediumship because, again, he does a whole gambit. He doesn't just teach on the mental, I mean, on the physical mediumship. He also teaches a lot of healing, the medical intuitive work.
Mhm.
So he's very reasonably priced for those that are on a budget because I've seen some what they charge, and he's very knowledgeable, and you have access to a lot of his recorded meetings which give a lot of information. So I would certainly recommend it, and you can also do it with him like 1 month on, 1 month off if you have to financially. But I'm a recipient of his healing that my doctor can't experience with, combating the side effects of a medicine I happen to need. Um, and I've seen him do healing on others. So if you're intrigued about the healing work, I happen to like psychic surgery as well. I did a lot of reading on the rusty knife guy. I was going to go that direction, and then all of a sudden Albert Best showed up from Spirit and yanked me, and the next thing I knew I was going to um, Arthur Finley College, and I ended up doing the mental mediumship, but I was leaning towards that. So by all means, I highly recommend him, and I just even to try him for a month, and you'll agree with me, I'm sure. So yeah, I just want to thank you. I know how crazy busy because you actually go out and demonstrate, and you're all over the place doing all over the world doing seance.
Yeah, no rest for the wicked.
So
So
let me
where's your next event, Gary? I'm just curious. I know you're coming to the US, but do you have anything
Yes,
going on like that's coming up?
I'm off to Wales this weekend for 4 or 5 days, doing some events down there. Then just the odd clinic around the UK for America.
Wow.
That'll be Albany, where we will be getting into mischief.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Mari and I are going to be on the loose in Albany. Pat will be
Oh.
running after us, getting into mischief. We might even try to do a little Facebook Live if they've sorted out Facebook problems from the scenes of
Yes.
being surrounded by all. Because don't forget, it's not only the presenters and the headliners that are coming, but pretty much every single one in attendance is medium. They
Right.
have medium propensities if they're not already using their mediumship.
You'll
So
be able to do
energy.
Facebook Live winter karaoke one night.
No. I can't sing pretty, but I sure can sing loud. So yeah, so the energy I anticipate to be bouncing off the walls. I'm looking
Yeah.
getting charged up with that. And I'm looking forward to learning from my colleagues and then also sharing knowledge and energy as a tutor. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with Mari in
Me
person.
too. Me too.
It'll be fun.
So thank you,
Yeah, it's going to be
Gary.
great.
You and Mary put this conference together. Mary is a lovely Rotarian from the Schenectady, Albany area that I got to meet through Gary. Everybody knows I'm a former, very highly decorated Rotarian, so I have a lot of respect for Rotarians. And it's just an amazing conference. The fact that you got Kai to come over, Kai hasn't been here since 2019. I was supposed to go. I got cancer. I couldn't go. So I'm excited I have the opportunity to see him work 5 years later. And then I'm looking forward to Vinnie Nar and, of course, Bill and Nancy. Yeah, so thank you for putting that together. Thank you for coming on. Mari, do you have any events coming up yourself, sweetheart, that you wanted to let
I
them know?
do. I have a couple events and I have the card of the day also. So maybe should I do that first and then get to my events? So
Yeah.
I pulled this card. It's from I only use 2 decks really. It's the Kyle Gray Keeper of the Light deck. And I love this one. Dharma Unfolding. And I was connecting to the energy of the card. It was sort of very familiar, sort of what we were talking about here today, and sort of in general about sort of following your path, not really worrying about what anybody else is thinking. And especially, we're talking about physical mediumship. I can kind of hear spirit in the background, like some people think this is really weird, and what are you doing? And you're all kind of crazy, which is not true. So when I feel this card, it's just really about following your path, wherever that is, and doing whatever that fills your soul and helps your light shine. That's really what this is about. Following what your own spirit is telling you, regardless of what anybody else thinks about it. And even myself, I can relate to this because I sort of started late after I had my kids and everything, because I was worried about, well, they're going to think I'm weird, or there's something wrong with me, or they don't want to be seen with someone that does what I do. But, pushing all of that aside, if it fills your soul and it makes your light shine, then that's what matters. And that's what you need to follow. And so for me, that's sort of the meaning of this card. And I see that as sort of the universal message for anybody that sees this. We are talking about you. In terms of sorry, go ahead.
I had a reading before, and that was one of
Yes.
the prominent themes. And I
There you
saw
go.
that she tuned in a little bit. Don't know if she's still here, but There you go, validation.
Yes, exactly. And everything is interconnected. There are no accidents or coincidences. Like, wow, that was so weird. It's like, no, it was meant to be there. It was meant to help show you your way and help you follow a certain path. And don't let the chatter of others or, whatever other people are saying to you get in your way about that, because it's very important to do what you're here for. That's why you're here. You're here to follow your own path and spread your light, whatever that is. And you don't need the approval of others. You just need to feel it, in your heart, in your soul, and feel good about it. In terms of my own stuff that's going on, I have a bunch of different podcasts I'm going to be on. Conscious Communication, April 18th. The award-winning podcast, Stories with Sapphire. I believe I'm going to be on towards the end of April. I'm doing an amazing event with also a medical intuitive and healer, Kimberly Meredith. It's called Animals and Angels, Messages from the Afterlife. And it's a guaranteed reading event. There's only a few spots left. It's April 27th. So check my website, mediummari.com, if you want to buy tickets. Again, there's only a few tickets left, guaranteed readings for everybody. And we will be doing some Instagram lives March 28th and April 25th at 8 o'clock, just to sort of talk more about that. But we would love you to join us. If you need more information, again, go to my website, mediummari.com. And looking forward to the next Spirit Chat with you, Winter, April 17th at 3 o'clock. So
Yes, and I think it's just going to be you and I, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think we're
Yeah,
going
we're
to talk
just
about healing, and I don't know, in my calendar, I have some title about the new you, about
yeah,
spring, and talking about that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
manifesting a new you to help you spring open, and also
Exactly.
some readings. So I have a bit of a packed schedule, believe it or not. Oh, gee. Um,
Shocking.
I love
Not
being
you.
here. I'm a workaholic. So
Okay.
I'm going to be, of course, with Gary and Mari and Pat and everybody else at the International Physical Mediumship Conference through the 7th of April. And then on April 11th, I'm doing a program on behalf of Lilydale Assembly. It's a Zoom program. Let's get physical. And it's about physical mediumship. And I'll have pictures to show you from seances and explain what physical mediumship is. So if we were a little bit over the head today, if you're interested, it's going to be a more of a physical mediumship one-on-one. And then depending on the situation and the folks there, we might even try to do a sit online. We might get some EVPs when we do it online. It's kind of fun. So we'll see. For those people on Long Island, I will be at North Shore Public Library, free event to attend, talking about what is mediumship, and that would be what is mental mediumship and evidential mediumship, and then doing a DEM. I am teaching trance for a kind of a cool, it's $45. It covers the weekend. It's all online. I'm one of the presenters. And I'm talking about Trance 101, 5:30 on the 28th of April. But leading up, there's about 40 different lectures or classes, all for the $45. And it's on my Facebook page, Transcendence, it's called. It's an event put together by a colleague of mine. And if you put my name, Winter, in the code, you get an additional $5 off. But I think Colin Bates is teaching, and then there's a whole bunch of other people. They're doing every metaphysical art you can think of. Tarot cards, astrology, there'll be demonstrations, there'll be just lectures or teaching. So for $40 with the coupon for, 20 events over the weekend, that's all online. That's pretty good. You don't have to go to all of them. You can jump in and out. And that's about it. And then I'm going into Dubai, but that's with my daughter. So if I get back from that, Cairo, I'm going to hang out with the pyramids and the ETs and get a little bit more vroom, 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 which I will then share with you. Till then, but I'll see you guys April 17th with Mari. Thank you, Gary.
Absolutely. And we will see you at the conference in Albany, Gary and Winter, and anybody else that's joining us. Very excited for that as well.
Thank you very much.
So thanks everyone for tuning in, and have a great month.
Thank you.
God
Thank you,
bless.
everybody. Bye. Thank you, Gary.